Hello, everybody. This is Atropa Everwood, and we're here tonight for reading spooky stories from the woods, some of which may or may not contain alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and skinwalkers. So, to get in the spirit of today's stream, hydrate right away. Am I being called out for something? So, to get in the spirit of that, naturally, I'll be prepared for any sorts of spooky cryptids that may be sneaking up on me. So, remember that they're vulnerable to white ash, and you can sort of fit that in the tips of hollow points. I guess my promo art for tonight kind of already shows that. You even get the ALG foregrip if you look really closely. I don't know, I'm actually kind of proud with how that turned out. So, very interesting. Of course, I'm not actually going to carry a gun the whole time, because apparently that gets in the way of my facial tracking. Oh, yeah. I hate when that happens. Stupid local skinwalkers. Of course, if that... I'll be honest, I'm really kind of happy, proud with how that turned out. I kind of want to do more art of me hunting skinwalkers, but that might just be kind of weird. But I might do more spooky... Well, I want to do more spooky story streams, because I kind of started reading stories and other stuff related to being in the woods. But first things first. Oh crap, that beer just fell over. Hopefully it doesn't fizz up. This kind of spookiness is less elegant forest witch spookiness and more of being drunk around a campfire spookiness. So now that my glass of wine is almost finished, I need to open a beer. Of course, I only have bottles, but luckily, my issued belts from over a decade ago in the military double up as bottle openers, which I just think is the coolest thing ever, that the military, or at least the Marine Corps, looks out for their Marines well enough that they include a bottle opener in the combat uniform. So, now that we've gone from sophisticated forest witch to beer drinking kind of person who wears a surplus plate carrier and an AR, we're ready to start our reading. And please bear with me on some of these stories, because I'll be converting them from the format they're originally written in to something that sounds a bit more natural. So, naturally, some bits may seem a bit off. Okay, and naturally these are just completely stolen from the internet. I might mix in a personal story along with them, but I'll never say which ones are personal and which ones aren't. Okay, this one. Okay, this was back when I was around 19. And of course, I decided to buy my first gun. M1911, because they're cool. Even got like a tactical button shut holster for the hip. Of course, the state I live in allows private sales of handguns, since sales between dealers are banned. And of course, somebody else who's also into guns, we'll just call him Jackson, wants to go up to his aunt's land and shoot the shit, and also possibly shoot some shit. And of course, I always loved exploring woods and stuff, and I hadn't been up there yet, so I was totally down to go. So we load up into his truck and road trip it up there, having a great time. And we get to a cabin on the land, pretty far from the main road and his aunt's house, which is where she was letting us stay. Which, don't worry about it, just two homies hanging out. Totally not good. And it starts to get late, so we decide to make a fire and start, singing and making music. Jackson goes to get his guitar out of the cabin because he's the one person with actual skill with an instrument. And as soon as the cabin door closes, the bushes off to my right start to rustle. Naturally, I'm paranoid as fuck, so my hand instinctively goes to unholster my pistol, thinking about filling a critter full of pure 45 AARP Murica goodness. And the rustling stops, and Jackson comes back, guitar in hand. I feel like a joke about make this machine kills skinwalkers should be made right here, but it hasn't been in the source material. And Jackson notices the pistol out of my holster in my hand. And he just sort of responds, dude, what's up? Like, why do you have your handgun drawn? So I reholster the pistol and reply, nothing, there was just some rustling over there. And Jackson replies, ha, don't worry about it, bro. It's probably just a fox checking us out or something. I wouldn't worry about it. All right, whatever. We play some blues, eat some hot dogs, and feel a lot better. Tomorrow, he tells me we'll go to his favorite spot to shoot, which, honestly, I can't wait. I wake up the next morning feeling awesome. We eat the remaining hot dogs, which of course full of processed whatever, just feeling absolutely top of the world alpha as fuck. And we hike it for about half an hour up to the spot, which is honestly a cool little place. It's a small shack with a post line set up to hold miscellaneous things to shoot. And set up the cans and bottles from the previous night. And of course just start mag dumping into trash. About a minute in, this ridiculous fucking scream comes from the direction we're shooting in with the force of 1,000 vuvuzelas. Which, if you don't remember, vuvuzelas were those weird horns from that one World Cup, which were really fucking annoying. And so we start to think, oh shit, we shot someone. And we're just absolutely paralyzed out of fear that we might have hit somebody. Jackson's the first to respond, and he runs over to it, which breaks me out of my paralysis. We get to where the sound came from, but there's nothing to be seen. No blood, no human tracks. There was nothing to indicate something had been shot. We ask, what the fuck was that? When I see something move out of the corner of my eye, I turn to see this long, black mass creeping its hairy ass along the floor of the forest. My first reaction is just, what the actual fuck? I yell to Jackson, and he sees it too. On the positive side, at least I'm not crazy. The negative is we just shot a big, black, hairy, crawly thing, and it's probably pissed. We end up following it, and we follow to a stream we'd crossed earlier. The thing's pretty fast, but we managed to keep up with it. The thing crosses the stream. There's no bridge there. It just glides over it, which is pretty fucking odd. And of course, when it crosses over the stream, it turns the water it's passing over black for a little bit. Very odd. Of course, we can't run after it anymore because there's a stream. So I aim my pistol and fire a few shots at it, but don't hit it. Jackson does the same, but he actually manages to hit it once. The thing shrieks, but keeps going. I'm on my knees, panting, Giggity. Jackson is sitting on a rock, trying to get his shit together. He keeps repeating, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" I get my breath back and decide to go where Jackson got it. There's no blood, but the ground is stained black, like the water, but it isn't wet or warm to the touch. What the fuck is this thing? Jackson proposes we get the fuck out of there. I can't help but agree. We get the fuck out of there and pack up, heading home. And of course, Jackson rants the entire way home about how that thing ruined his favorite spot. We decide not to tell us about the ordeal. She probably would have laughed and assumed we were high as fuck, as we often were at the time as young, old teenagers, but young people. And I guess that's the first one of these. Kind of spooky, but still fun. But of course we need something with a bit more cryptids. Because we don't just want shooting at random creatures, we want super spooky. So let's see. Sorry, just looking for the next story. Okay. Okay, myself and two other friends, a couple, start to go into the woods. You know, just for like a weekend or something. And of course, the couple are both into hunting, cryptid hunting. And of course, like, they're kind of weird. They claim that some weird creature in the woods they get me to follow them into did something with their ex-girlfriend, which says a lot about the couple, but who am I to judge? And of course, they say it scratched her, but it kind of messed up her mind more than just her. And so we go into the woods. The actual woods are super creepy. But of course, nothing much happens the first day out there. I mean, I kind of feel safe because the guy is huge and ripped. He carries around this massive axe. While the girl in the relationship is very into firearms and even brings a spare rifle for me. She says she has bigger guns with her, so she can spare one for me. On the second day out in the woods, this rotting smell begins. And we're confused. And we start to search in a ring around our campsite, trying to find the source of this fetid, rotting stench. And there's nothing. So we move camp to try and get upwind of the bad smell. And make camp and get ready for night. When night falls, we hear a rustling noise. And the stench, it gets worse. So we look around when we see a homeless looking guy, just hiking through the woods off in the distance. He's pretty far away, but he waves. Not a normal, you know how people normally wave, where it's rather smooth, except for at the ends, but it's in a jerking motion. Very awkward and kind of unsettling. We choose to ignore it, hoping he goes away. And I'll be honest, it feels pretty nice at that moment to have a rifle. And he goes away. When a few hours later, the guy of the couple thinks he sees something. I mean, the girl of the couple has these crappy night vision goggles for us. And of course, the guy claims he sees very well in the dark. And then we hear a trotting by this high-pitched ereg sound. Stink gets worse. Intensifies. But it's all coming from this down ravine type area. Guy says he'll take his axe and rush whatever it is up the ravine. He says if anything that is not him rushes up, wait until he's clear, and open fire. It's spooky, but at the same time comes off as a bit badass the way he says it. The guy heads off around to the bottom of the area, while we stand ready in the truck bed. I hear an unholy shriek, and my confidence just dissipates. Something comes running uphill. It's about as tall as the guy, but not as wide. It's about 6'10", maybe, with an elongated human face and rotten eyes. The only way I can really describe its rotten eyes is its eyes, its face, its soul. It's all just decay. That defies rational explanation. I freeze like I myself am made of decay. And I piss and shit all over myself. The girl with me opens fire to no avail. And of course, she's a very good shot, so she must have hit it. Well, I'm too terrified and sick to even look and spot for her. I lay down in the truck bed, next to the gun cases that she brought. I hear more screaming and human noises this time. I look at that cursed, rotten creature again. The guy is in its hands and fighting back. It is horrifying. The girl reaches into one of the big boxes, pulls out, and, I shit you not, an anti-materiel rifle. It fires with the bang supernova. I am deaf. And of course, something heavy falls into the truck. It's the guy. He actually managed to get away. He says the rotten creature, is not dead. But what they shot it with was the biggest gun they had. He says he got some kind of poison on it, but he doesn't think it will die. Kind of odd. And we absolutely bail. The guy's messed up in the head to this day, while the girl burnt down that track of woods almost a month later. Don't talk about it. It's an unspoken event that we try not to think about. And just typing this makes me feel ill. Okay, that was a pretty interesting one. I'll be honest. It makes me feel glad to be surrounded by firearms and silver and protective charms. And of course, I'll be honest, the AR I was talking about at the beginning of the stream is kind of disassembled in front of me. Because it's more fun that way. Because they're like Legos. They're the Legos of the firearms world. But I figured for spooky stories from the woods, it only makes sense to be carrying or having fun with firearms and other stuff because they are fun. Oh no, assembling and disassembling different ones. I mean, if you can't assemble an AR-15 without looking at it, obviously, I'm sorry, but you're kind of just in need of some, thinking. There's probably a smarter way to put that, actually. But anyways, let's go on to the next story. I'm assembling and disassembling firearms while doing the story because it helps add to the feeling. Okay, the story. And I should repeat that I'm literally stealing these from the internet. The events that occur in this story might probably not be myself. Unless, of course, I mix one of myself in there. Which I might, because that'd be funny. Then you can guess which one is me. Except I might not either, because I would need to actually write it out and think about it in order to get it in the same proper way of saying it. So forgive me for being super ambiguous about all that. Okay. This past summer, I went on a fishing trip with my dad and 3 friends. We'll call the 3 friends P, A, and J. Or to make it easier, Papa, Alpha, and Juliet. With much apologies to J. We live in northern Indiana, so we decide to go to Lake Patoka Marina. Dad invites a friend he always gets drunk with, which is, forgive the sarcasm, great. And of course, us cool young kids agree that once we get there, we'll explore some of the woods. And we get there around 5. Of course, it's late in the day, and Dad decides not to go fish, and he gets drunk with his friend in the cabin instead. Which, I guess now we can leave, at least. So, Dad doesn't mind that we take his truck. He just says to get back before midnight. Usually Dad wouldn't let me leave, but he's drunk, so he doesn't really care at that point. We drive around random roads, exploring, and eventually we get to road 231. And we continue down the road until we notice that it stops. It stops, but there's woods all around, which is kind of exciting. We decide to drive the truck a little bit into the woods and leave it there. Note, of course, that it was around about sunset now. And me and my friends proceed to walk into the woods, ignoring that any monster or crackhead, meth head hillbillies might possibly try to do anything to us. We walk for around 30 minutes, say. And it's definitely dark now. We had 2 flashlights and our phone flashlights. But even with all that, it was pretty dark. Before we end up coming to this weird looking cut down tree and decide to smoke a blunt. Because, yeah, apparently we're druggies. Before we even roll it, we hear this knocking on trees nearby. We wait to see if anything happens again, but it doesn't. Is that just to ignore it and shake off the unsettling feeling? Papa eventually rolls a shitty blunt, and he and Juliet smoke it together. Juliet just being the pseudonym. Continue walking, and decide that we'll continue until we reach Lake Patoka. And we keep walking until we hear the knocking again. Naturally, we get spooked, because we believe someone is following us. Because the knocking continued. Jay yells to come out at the knocking noise. I immediately tell him to shut the fuck up, because we won't want to fuck around with anyone. And the only protection we have is Alpha's Glock 17 anyways, which everybody knows those are next to being hand grenades. We keep walking, now aware that there's knocking on the trees more often now. It keeps getting louder. Jay constantly keeps looking back and saying random shit every time there is a knock. After a knock, he says, and I quote, "I bet you won't come out, pussy." We stop after we hear something in the bushes and branches breaking. We literally stand there for like 15 minutes waiting for something to come out. It could be raccoons or some shit, so we walk slowly. We hear footsteps. Then, as if there is a dog running around. At this point, we are shitting bricks. Continue walking. Speed walking, that is. We don't want to run in case whatever it is comes out of nowhere and just jumps us. We actually think like normal human beings. And stop. And decide to go back instead. Papa freaks his shit saying he doesn't want to go back with that thing there. But we convince him that it's a better shot than staying in the woods. As soon as we start to go back, we hear this laughter. This weird hyena-sounding laughter. Alpha walks with his gun out now, and the laughter just keeps going. How big is this guy's laugh box? Sorry, that was in the original. The laughter continues, and Juliet eventually gets pissed and grabs a branch and throws it in the direction it is coming from. And the laughing stops. It is at that moment we realize there is literally no noise in these woods. Like, no crickets, no birds, nothing. Juliet yelled out something like, "Leave us alone, you dick. It's not funny anymore." 10 seconds later, after that outburst, we hear this loud-ass roar. Like, no joke, it sounded like a lion roar, mixed with an elephant growl. At that point, we finally decide to fucking run for it. As we are all running, they began to leave me because I'm a fat shit. I yell at them to wait, but they are scared as fuck and haul ass. So much for having a gun with me to protect me. They actually leave me behind, but what they didn't know is that I had the key for the truck. I stop for a bit to catch my breath, and I hear something running behind me. It sounds like a dog running. For some reason, I couldn't move. I just stood there as if I basically just accepted that whatever it was going to just kill me. I just stare, and I see this weird person on all fours running straight at me. I couldn't move and couldn't speak. This thing was so fucking fast. I get shoved and turn around, and it's A behind me. He sees the thing coming and shits bricks and pulls me to run. We run for about 5 minutes straight. I literally have no idea how my fat ass did it, but I did. Just jogged and came across Juliet and Papa. We were all together now, and we didn't hear the thing behind us anymore. Of course, after something like that, we still weren't going to take any chances. We sped walked, and eventually just started jogging back. We hear the hyena laughter again, and we began to sprint like a bunch of bitches. Papa runs back, and we all yell at him and then try to catch up to him. We actually had to push him down to stop him and pick him up and run again. The hyena laughter doesn't stop, and it keeps getting louder. We run and run, but the damn woods don't seem to end, even though we weren't really in the deep, deep woods. The hyena laughter turns into a scream. Hyena laughter turns into a scream, and we hear the roar again. But this time, we even shit a bulldozer out, because we hear the roar twice, and the laughter, at the same time. Either this thing can make those noises at the same time, or there's more than one out there. Either way, it's more than a bit concerning. We eventually get to the tree that was broken down. And when we turned, we saw these glowing yellow eyes, like a raccoon or cat's when the light reflects. Except we didn't shine our flashlights at it. It's just looking at us. I flash light at it, and we finally see how these things look. It was like a human, really skinny, with skin that seems brown and slimy, and it had like a small amount of hair on its head. Its arms seemed longer than the actual legs. Once again, back to running after seeing that shit. Juliet yells at Alpha to stop being a pussy and shoot that thing. No need, because we reach the truck. We all pile in. I spend like 2 minutes just looking for the keys. And I start to freak out. Because I thought I had dropped them. But then I found them in my back pocket for some reason. We get in, and once the lights turned on, the thing was there, standing. It was on its hind legs, just standing. There, just weird, just hanging there, with these ugly long fingers. Stood there sort of twitching, and Papa was telling me to run it over. Well, fuck that. I put the truck in reverse and keep going in reverse until we get to the road. The thing was still standing there, and we see another come out. The second one seemed larger, probably about 6 feet tall. And that fucker roared and pulled on the other one. I don't have time to turn this damn truck around. There's weird shit happening right in front of me, and I do not want to be there. Things start to run straight towards us. I pushed my foot as far as the pedal went on reverse. I was going too damn fast in reverse that I almost thought I was going to flip over somehow. They eventually stop after about 30 seconds, and we reach a little ranch. I finally managed to turn the truck around, and I'm going 90 until I get to Red Hills Road. And keep going And of course, me and my friends keep going back screaming at each other about what happened. We finally get back to the cabin, and I tell my dad what happens. And he just laughs at it, saying we can go back tomorrow to check it out. But he was drunk. We ended up staying up the night just talking about it between ourselves. And we were going to call the police about the incident, but we realized they would get mad at us for going to the woods. Plus, who's going to believe 4 stupid-ass college students, two of whom were high? We actually do talk about it all the time and tell other people, but no one believes us or even cares. So we just keep it to ourselves. After that day, we never want to go back in the woods ever. And also, I guess I had this nightmare about that thing, and it actually spoke to me. It asked me if I liked its surprise, and just kept repeating that over and over. Okay, that one was actually pretty fucking stupid, or pretty fucking scary. Unsettling. I mean, I can't really speak for whether that was true or not, but that was on the spooky side. I don't know, the couple from this was actually kind of, that one was kind of interesting. That second one was about what you expect from these kinds of stories. You have the things in your sights, but half the people don't actually have the testicular fortitude to unload on it. For better or worse. And now to try and find the next one to read. Okay. This one's actually in a format that's easy to read. Have you ever felt like you were lost? Like everything around you in a dark wood just keeps repeating itself? Me and a buddy of mine decided that after a graduation party, we would walk back through the wooded area behind my neighborhood. Faster that way, he says. There isn't going to be enough light from your phone to find the trail back all the way. I know you know this place well, but looking at the ground with just the light from your phone ain't going to help. This, of course, was back when you didn't have an LED on every phone there was. It'll be all right, he kept reassuring me, and I finally said, okay. Sorry, slowly reassembling. And I finally said, okay. We started out our journey, and it was about midnight at this point. And the only natural light we had was the little bit bleeding from the treetops from the stars. It didn't help at all. After about 30 minutes of walking, the trail begins to thin out a bit, and the brush keeps smacking us in the face and legs and arms. We are both cut up pretty bad from the constantly kneeling in the brush and the thorns. Nothing too bad, though. And we give it about 10 more minutes before we both start to wonder if we are lost. I thought it was going to be okay, I had said, finding a nice tree to lean on to catch my breath. It was, and still is. We just have to find a better trail, I think, my friend responds. I remember about 5 minutes back there was a dip in the road, and there was a branch to the left that should be the way we need. I must have taken the one on the right. I shrug it off. All right, dude, let's do this, then. We get to where the dip was, and notice there was water running through it now. It was murky, and kind of a dark red color. Or that's what I could make out by the light from his phone, at least. Was the water like that before? I shake my head, and had a full sort of nope experience. And we go ahead and start down the left trail, and he starts to get more excited. Yes, this is it. I knew we weren't too far off. It should be another hour or so walk from here, he said. It would have taken 4 or 5 through the city, mind you. We walked for a solid 10 more minutes and came across something in the trail ahead of us. We stopped to try and make out what it is. I whisper, "What do you think it is?" "I'm not sure." He tries to shine his phone light at it and sounds a little. "Hey." It was a few deer. They flee when they hear us, and we start to laugh a little. That was when we heard something behind us. It left after we did. At this point, I was starting to feel a little more lost than we were previously. My friend looked at me, and then back behind us. "That wasn't you?" he asked. "No, I was fucking hoping it was you somehow." He turns, and without warning me, bolts. I start running after him, seeing the light from his phone pass in front of him disappearing, and then back behind him. I was keeping up, but only for now. We run for about 5 minutes before he slows down. He checks the ground around him and makes sure he's going the right way. He goes to run again. "Hey, wait, man. Maybe we just heard an echo or something," I ask. He looks back at me and sighs. "Yeah, maybe you're right." And he looks back behind me, knowing he doesn't want to. I look back with him and see if I can see anything. "Go ahead and laugh again. Maybe it'll help calm us down," I suggested, and he agreed. We both laughed nervously. We don't hear a laugh, but we wait just for confirmation. A minute goes by, and we hear crunching from the ground. Small, deliberate steps, it sounded like. I nodded at him, and we both darted. We ran and ran for a while, stopping for short breaths. I never felt so afraid in my life. I couldn't tell how much time had passed, and I wasn't going to ask my friend to check. I just wanted to get out of those woods. We stopped one more time to get a deep breath and drink some water from a backpack we had kept it in. I took a rest against a tree and cracked my neck. I'm glad I'm in some bit of shape. This shit is still killing me. I've almost tripped like 6 times now, I had said. "At least I don't have tendonitis in the ankle. That shit's on fire right now," my friend replied. I rest a few more seconds and then turn to get back on the trail. He's got his phone out, looking at the ground to find it. We should be close now. Hopefully the shit that we heard was all on our heads or just some more deer or something. He looks up at me. "Found it," he says, looking past me a couple seconds at the trail, and squints his eyes. "What is that?" I look back, hoping he was joking. But he wasn't. There was something standing in the trail a few hundred feet back. The night sky and tree line by this point was a little more clear, letting more light in. I couldn't tell the exact height of the creature, but it was taller than us. Just a black object slayed out into the night sky. It laughed the same mimicking laugh that we had heard earlier. I couldn't tell if my friend was, but I was frozen in fear. The creature had something in its grasp. It chucked it over at us, and it made a terrible crash through the floor, knocking over a small tree in the end. I finally got enough courage to start to back up. I turned around and saw my friend frightened and shocked. I grabbed his arm and yelled, "Run, you stupid fuck." We started to run again and passed up the down trees and saw the creature had thrown a large deer. I couldn't tell for sure by passing, but it was safe to say it was about a 10-point buck. We ran screaming almost the whole time hearing the thing behind us after what I was sure was its next meal. I had lost the water bottle I was drinking from, but I didn't care. Our feet were sore, but we didn't care. I'm sure that we were not going to make it. I saw the lights coming from the road ahead. In triumph, I shouted out. My friend had kept up with me, and it sounded like the creature was slowing to a stop. But all we heard was the laughing, the mimicking laughter that still haunts my dreams. We made it home. Spooky, but fun. I mean, just imagine going off in the woods and your friend saying, "Oh, the the light from my phone should be fine." I'm sorry, but the light from your phone is never fine enough for this kind of thing. So, just never trust it. Just always bring proper lighting and a gun. Probably a gun. Maybe some chem lights too. And of course, chem lights can go out eventually, so don't forget your chem light batteries. Yeah, at least 1,000 lumens. Or a candle. Or a lantern. I don't know, maybe I'm not the best source. I'm kind of full into primitive stuff. I mean, I may have an AR, but that's not my favorite gun. I'm pretty sure last time I spent extended time in the woods. Well, actually, the last time I spent an extended amount of time in the woods, I had a flintlock. So, but it was muzzleloader season. And I also had a 1911 on my hip, which is probably okay. And I had some pretty spicy rounds in the 1911. I'm not gonna say what rounds, but they're very spicy rounds. So I'd probably be okay. But still, I mean, I'd rather not have an encounter with some sort of cryptid if I can avoid it. Which honestly just kind of reminds me of other spooky stuff in the woods. There's a lot of rules that you need to follow. And of course, you can sort of guess who I'm citing on this, but always be careful. I mean, a good rule of thumb, if a trail name or location name has the devil in it, that's probably a sign that something is spooky about it. Somebody there thought, yeah, putting the devil in the name for this location makes perfect sense. The devil or old hob or any of those other old-timey names for the adversary. I mean, you may not agree with their theology, but something about that location made them just think, there's something off about this case, about this place. And of course, I mean, naturally you can look into this because I'm sure you've all heard about the phenomena about mysterious disappearances in the woods. And I promise those weren't me. Those were something else of some nature or another. And there seems to be certain circumstances that lead to these disappearances. And yes, I am referring to Missing 411, which David Paulides goes into. Definitely check that out. It's very interesting. In fact, that might be a good thing for the next movie night. I do. Just a lot of spooky stuff in the woods. Which is fascinating, but at the same time, something to beware of. Don't put off going in the woods because of that. I mean, I don't. Just, it's always good to remember. Be careful. I mean, you want to wear some bright clothes, especially during hunting season. But apparently, these mysterious, I mean, there are also the regular disappearances where somebody just gets lost and it's totally explainable, where they just wander off the trail and do a stupid. And, you know, the whole meme, like, uh-oh, you made a fucky wucky. Now it's time to get in the forever box. That kind of thing. Where they just, it's their own stupidity that gets them in a situation. Not to, I mean, I guess I should apologize to the families of people who have lost loved ones that way. But sometimes it's just bad decisions. Like this one case I heard I heard about it from a friend, about this second lieutenant. Of course it's a second lieutenant, who got lost on the land nav course. And of course, he was trying to find his way back. Naturally, this was a course to teach people how to navigate in the land and not get lost. But everybody knows that like O1s in the military are, I mean, they're like kindergartners. So the second lieutenant just was lost and was trying to wander to find his way back, to sort of land nav his way back. And of course it was hot, so he started dropping gear. And of course the first thing he dropped was his heavy camelback bladder. You know, your water source. And then every mile or so, he would drop another item of gear. So of course, once they found this deceased second lieutenant, they followed the trail of gear back. Miles and miles. At least 10 miles or so. Parallel to the road. All the way back to the first piece of gear he dropped, his water source. I mean, it's probably not good to laugh at the dead, but me talking about mysterious disappearances in the woods doesn't mean all mysterious disappearances in the woods, or even most mysterious disappearances in the woods are actually spooky, mysterious stuff. There are people who make very bad decisions and pay the ultimate price for it. So me talking about spooky stuff in the woods doesn't mean be very afraid of the woods, spooky stuff is going to happen. It just means be careful. And also, you should be careful anyways, because you don't want to be Lieutenant Dumbfuck. I mean, I guess that's part of the reason why that is a running joke in the military, that all second lieutenants are just incompetent at finding their way in the woods. Despite all that book learning, they just don't have the practical knowledge. All that book learning being a bachelor's degree. Which, if you've met anybody with a bachelor's degree, you know that's barely worth the sheepskin it's printed on. Well, it's probably not printed on sheepskin anymore. I mean, I may have the sheepskin, but actually, my degrees aren't printed on sheepskin. I'm pretty sure they're just regular, expensive wood. Oh, yeah, be cautious. I mean, complacency kills, all that stuff. But, I mean, don't just assume skinwalkers or something are going to get you in the woods. But, be cautious. I guess for the Missing 411 series, there tends to be a lot of these mysterious disappearances. They tend to fit a certain pattern. Because David Paulides, who I cited, he's noticed, oh yeah, 3/4 of undergrad is just high school 2.0. So, yeah, second lieutenants, they may have a commission from the government and everything to lead the troops, but they're people who are just as stupid, if not more stupid, than the enlisted that they command. And I don't know about you, but I've never gotten lost on land nav, which puts me above most second lieutenants. But then again, as far as mysterious disappearances go, they always tend to be in rocky areas, usually near a body of water. A surprising amount, of course, take place in areas or trails named after the devil, which, of course, that doesn't mean the devil did it. It just implies that people in the past thought something's wrong about this area. So that's more just a warning indicator that maybe something's up with the area. And again, it doesn't mean anything spooky is going to happen. Just, it's a combination of factors. Usually there is some sort of weather front moving in before these mysterious disappearances occur. And often the people who do disappear are either intellectually gifted or intellectually disabled. One or the other. Of course, they often have very striking features in some way or another, like, say, unusual features, like pointed ears or heterochromia or something else. Then again, that doesn't mean if you have those features you're going to disappear in the woods, because I have both those features and I haven't disappeared yet. You think I'm joking? Like, yeah, no, I've already said previously in the stream that I actually have those features. Oh, Pluvium, you didn't know? The ducks in the pond are free. The government doesn't want you to know this, but the ducks in the pond are free. You can just take them. I have 456 ducks. But also, something kind of weird. Apparently, the majority of the people who go missing are Germanic or Scandinavian in some way, or have that heritage. And a lot of them tend to be in STEM or science. So pretty much, if you want to disappear in the woods, be an above average intelligence, heterochromatic, or something else weird person of Germanic heritage with a STEM degree going out on a trail named after the devil in a rocky area with flowing water nearby right before a storm front rolls in, and wearing bright colors and not carrying a gun or a GPS. Because apparently, while it's not a guarantee, you're less likely to have this mysterious phenomena happen to you if you're armed. Kind of concerning, one way or another. And, or have a GPS. Like one of those emergency GPS beacons. But these are just weird, like the kind of weird disappearances where if they do find your body, there's all sorts of unexplained aspects of the discovery. For example, when this happens to children, they'll be found a distance away that would be practically impossible for a child to do, in a location where it'd be almost impossible to find, almost impossible for the child to reach. And their clothes will be found, this happens with adults too. Their clothes will be found in, not the kind of shape you'd expect from traversing 10, 20, 50 miles. Looking almost pristine. There's been tales of people going missing and being found 3 weeks later with no decay and fresh food found. And then there's the tales of children being found alive. Just 3 weeks later, perfectly fine, water and berries in their stomach. And they'll talk about the fuzzy man or somebody without a face taking care of them. Or they'll almost experience dissociative phenomena. And with adults too, even. there'll be weird cases where they'll disappear and come back and think only a few hours have passed. Perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with them. Except it's been a few hours. It's been more hours or even weeks since they disappeared. Which, of course, I'm assuming if you're familiar with the different folk tales and stuff from Europe, you might make a few guesses at what could be responsible about that. Well, not just Europe. You get one or two stories based on that premise in America. I mean, hell, there's a shit. What's the name of the author? I should know the author. I do know the author. But a tale of somebody going bowling with some mysterious creatures he meets in America. Well, in the British colonies. It's a fictional tale, but you can see the inspiration. Bowling with some weird creatures in the colonies, falling asleep beneath a tree, waking up, going back to town, waking up with his fowling piece becoming a rusty firelock, and going down the mountain and finding a flag showing some weird guy, some George Washington guy. I mean, this is fictional, but the premise is the same. And same with somebody else, a fisherman in, well, the other side of the world. Just that's like a reoccurring theme in tales where you go off into the wilderness or something, and you think it's only a few days, and you come back, and it's weeks, months, or years that have passed. So, I mean, it shows up in folklore. I'm not saying it's fairies, but it's fucking fairies. Somebody could probably quote that out of context and get me banned. But anyways, there is a lot of weird, there is weird stuff that happens. Some people might make excuses, but it's always better to exercise caution when in the woods. It doesn't hurt you to have matches, because matches are useful because, well, matches are just common sense, because if you're in the woods and the weather takes a turn for the worse, I did read to light a fire. So it's always better to have a source of heat. And water is just common sense. So a lot of it is just don't be stupid and common sense safety measures. Water and matches are just, in case you get lost, you can make a fire and stay warm and have water to drink so you don't get dehydrated. That's common sense. And a gun, because even if all these cryptids and spooky stuff don't exist, there are some nasty people out there, so it doesn't hurt you to carry a gun. I mean, some people might disagree, but I don't know. Outside the time I got hit by a truck and had a gun-shaped bruise in the small of my back from where I got hit, it's never hurt me to have that on me. And one of those GPS beacons, I guess those do cost money. But just learning a bit more about where you're going out in the woods is not a hard thing to do. Oh, I was crossing the road, and it was dark and rainy. I had the right of way to walk, but I still got hit. And unfortunately, it didn't. Oh god, never mind. That's a dark way to put it. Well, actually, it was during finals week, so unfortunately, didn't have the decency to finish the job. It just took enough time out of the weeks that my finals were shit. So it's like all or nothing. I could either have that time to work on schoolwork, or I could get to go to a fantasy world and have all sorts of fawning attendants and superpowers. So if anything, I feel a bit cheated. But pretty much just, yeah, be careful. I got horrible grades and no fantasy. Of course, clearly that's a joke. Everybody knows the best isekai scenario is dying of a heart attack after almost getting run over by a tractor. Okay, no, that's a joke. That's a joke. Because it's actually being crushed to death under your book collection. Actually, no, that character had a horrible... I mean, imagine how horrible it would be to be reborn into a world with no books. Anyways, I probably should stop talking about isekai. Just stay safe in the woods. I guess readings... I do try and keep my reading streams a bit shorter because reading for several hours straight does kind of sneak up on you, but it's probably about time to look at maybe rating somebody. Who even is live right now? That's actually a good question. Oh yeah, no, like, isekai where they don't die is interesting too. I guess they're... Actually, what are a few isekai where they don't die? I guess there's... I don't know, I haven't actually watched that one. Actually, you could argue A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court might be one where he dies. Because he does get hit in the head by very heavy metal. Oh, I actually don't like the game isekai. They just feel too artificial for the most part. Unless it's written in a way where it's like, the game is real now. Like Overlord. Where Overlord, it's like, I'm in a game, then it's like, wait, this isn't a game anymore. There's another one I read interesting, like, semi-recently, where it starts as like one of those deep immersion ones, but then the game world starts to merge over into our world, implying that deep immersion was just some weird plot and the game world is real. But in general, I don't really like the game ones. I mean, Sword Art was... It had its moments, I suppose. Gun Gale was better. Just because... guns. Trying to think of other good isekai. Oh! Killing 300 slimes. Or spending 300 years spending 300 years killing slimes and becoming OP. One, it's an adorable slice of life. I guess it starts to drag on, but it is an adorable slice of life. And I totally don't just like it because the character's a witch. But it's not too bad. There's a few like that. Although you have to be careful when you do the isekai slice of life, where the character's OP and just wants to live a comfy life, because that can go bad. Then there's also... but of course, don't just assume because don't just assume because you get run over by a truck, you're gonna get that perfect... Oh god, there was this funny... Okay, it was the same author as Hina Matsuri. They have this other one where it's just a series of sort of loosely connected shorts. And there's this one, like, all the chapters are just sort of shorts. And there's this one where it's this guy who just applied for university. Like, recently passed. Oh, Hina Matsuri is great. This is the same author. Okay, I'll be giving spoilers, but it doesn't detract completely from reading it yourself, because most of the chapters have nothing to do with this one. And he gets into his dream university and is just thrilled, celebrating, jumping up and down, and is stupid and jumps out into the road right in front of a truck. And next thing he knows, he's in a fantasy world. And he adapts to the fantasy world pretty well. studying magic, learning magic, and becoming a great sage. Just absolutely OP. And he dies in bed, surrounded by his beloved Isekai family, just wishing he could go back to his beloved Japan one more time. And then he wakes up and he's a baby girl in the Isekai world that he ended up in. And then she ends up lauded as a genius because she knows all this advanced magic from pretty much birth. Becomes an adventurer and starts exploring, and ends up in this one dungeon exploring it when a trap activates and opens up a teleportation circle underneath her. And she ends up in Japan. So then, of course, being in Japan with no identification just means being forced to work like menial, shitty jobs. And of course, trying to save up any money she can until finally she buys counterfeit. She pretty much buys her way into bribing a bunch of people so she can actually have a real identity. And she decides, you know what? I never went to college in any of my past lives. I should do that. So she applies to what's still her dream university and gets in. And and it's been like over 100 years since the first time she got into, like, she passed the exam for this university. And she's looking at the results. And then she sees somebody start to be very excitedly dancing around cheering. It's like, wait, is this that moment? And then she sees her past self dance into the street right by this truck. It's like, oh shit, it's been a while since I used magic, but maybe I can save my past self by casting teleportation magic. And it's like, wait, I forgot to set a destination point. Fuck. Well, guess I better tell my old parents what happened. Just that very, very roundabout, just sort of loop of like being born, like, yeah, pretty much like isekai inception almost, just saving her past self from truck con. It's like, wait, is that how I got isekai? Fuck. There's this other one where it's Isekai Transporters, where it's actually an Indonesian webcomic, I think, but where about truckers, a trucker being hired by a company to run over prospective Isekai targets. So not only did they get truck cunned, they got reincarnated, and then they got fell into a portal. All the same person. And then it turns out that they were the one who isekai'd themselves in the first place. I'll be honest, that chapter was my favorite one in that whole collection. Everything else is just kind of slice of life normal. But there's the one chapter where it's just numerous isekai'd just to end up back in Japan. I guess technically having magical powers that they never use. So, I don't know, that one chapter alone is worth reading, but also read all of Hinamatsuri. Which, actually, if you think about it, actually, no, a lot of people are very strict and they don't count time travel as isekai. But you could argue that the people who do count time travel as isekai, that Hinamatsuri is isekai, in a way. Because the future they come from doesn't exist anymore. Because they change it. And then they change it again. And then it just ends up weird. But definitely worth reading. I mean, the best character is not even one of the people from the future. It's literally just one, like, oh yeah, the best character is Hitomi. Where, like, the biggest revelation he has after seeing stuff in the future is, holy shit, I don't age at all. And it's not like some weird, it's not like some weird supernatural stuff. It's just like, what the hell? I don't age? Are you saying I stopped aging in middle school? Okay, Hina Matsuri is great, and I shouldn't give spoilers, but definitely read it. It's a weird, okay, the best way to describe it is a weird Yakuza slice of life where a Yakuza member adopts a weird, kind of spurgy psychic girl from the future. But of course, I mean, yeah, that's really the best way to describe it. Yakuza slice of life. And I really should stop ranting about isekai when this is supposed to be a spooky in a wood story reading. But also my voice is starting to go from reading spooky internet stuff, so probably should start to find somebody to read. I guess Bodega is doing Wigglies, so maybe we could check that out. Everybody loves Wigglies. Yoshi Kohei, that one sounds familiar. Definitely, I might need to actually check that one out then. So let's read Bodega and her Wigglies. Oh yeah, the stories are a lot of fun. I definitely want to do more spooky stories. Yeah, always more Wigglies. Thus always the Wigglies. And I hope you all have a good night. I probably need some throat tamer tea because, yeah, that's how it works, I think. So, let's read.